Puppets. What is puppetry exactly? Well, anything can be a puppet. I know it sounds crazy, but I heard a guy on YouTube say that. And he
must be true.
And he was very skilled at puppets. We like to make puppets out of trash because there's a never-ending supply of trash.
I've been collecting my trash. I got some cool stuff here. So I would encourage people to start collecting a box of special trash for purposes like this or whatever you want to do with it.
Special trash. Label it special trash. Maybe do not throw away written somewhere. But we got all sorts of cookies.
There's a lot of cool cardboard here.
Styrofoam. Not great for gluing, but it's got a good look. Cardboard is essential, yeah.
One of my favorite things to work with is foam. Love it.
You get some squishy action with the foam, some nice textures. I don't know, this is probably for a plate or something.
This is a bag of plastics that I collected from the ground outside, from the street. If you're walking around the street and you see a cool shiny piece of plastic on the ground, it's probably going to happen to you. I bet you one day that'll happen.
There's a can. See, that could be a puppet.
Some fun foil.
And it's also nice to collect different fabrics. You know, maybe you have some cool shirts that don't fit you.
I don't know if you see, we have a bunch of fabrics over here.
Yeah, there's a whole...
So there's lots of fun stuff over there.
Lots of fabrics too. So today we're gonna make we're gonna instruct the construction of a marionette.
I'm gonna walk you through.
Now there's different types of puppets. I'm sure you're aware of, you know, sock puppet type deal. You know, that's pretty standard kid stuff. And there's you know, you can put a big old head on, and you know, there's a lot of different puppets. What people are usually intimidated to dabble in is the marionettes, because marionettes involve a lot of string, a lot of you know, detailed mechanics and things. But today we're gonna walk through a marionette building process that's hopefully as simple as such a process could be.
I think, this is what I think, we should show off some of our friends.
Yes, if
we have some friends here.
If you'll allow us, we're gonna introduce some friends.
Yeah.
Cameron. Oh. Hello.
He's so cute.
Yes, I am the cutest.
Show off his feet.
Little feet. Little feet. As you can see, I'm constructed from all sorts of things. It's Cameron. I don't know, who's this? What's her name?
Oh,
Matilda?
Yeah.
Matilda does a little bit of a wiggle, a little bit of dance here.
Matilda.
And as you can see, all of our puppets are highly professional, and the detail, you know, it's more about the process than anything else. But
she's always going like
yeah,
that.
all she can really do is this.
She's sassy.
Yes, it's a magical one-trick pony.
Someday she'll be able to talk.
Yeah, and if you really get good with it, you can string up a jaw, and that's next level. We probably won't do that today.
So another thing that I like to make is puppets that don't do anything. They just sit there and they're cute. So
Oh yeah,
this one, their name is Judgy.
Judgy.
They like to put their political beliefs on display. And you can still read them if you wanted.
Oh, he's in a book. Oh, that's clever.
Yeah. So
All of
This
his
one
That's
is-
all of his opinions. Got it.
This one is a life-size, a human-sized marionette that is, not really strung up right now, but you get the idea. Yeah, there you go. I forget. Oh, Amanda. Amanda was the star of a very elaborate show that we put on a couple months back. So marionettes, they seem like they are very difficult to do, but they're not. It just takes some time and just a bit of a structure. There's a lot to do with anatomy, because in my puppet process, I tend to think of it like I'm, creating life like a god. So we start with bones, and then we work our way into the muscle, and then the skin, and the joints, and the eyes, and the nose, and the mouth, and all the things that we associate with a person or personifying your objects.
Blood and juices are optional. Yeah.
Blood and juices optional, yeah, because you might have a scene where maybe someone gets sliced in half and then their bowels start coming out. That's a particular action for a puppet. And then you would have to design just for that role, and sometimes we do design puppets to do really intense things. Tiny.
I was wondering what kind of, if people here in the class are ready to make a puppet today, what kind of materials do you guys have? I'm curious. I know that it'll be kind of fun to watch us do what we do, and you can maybe take notes and do this in the future, but maybe some of you have some materials now.
Yeah, we're hoping that we
Yeah.
all have collected some materials and some tools. So if we could, can we do one quick around the room type of vibe where one by one, just to tell us if you have any puppet experience quickly, and then what type of materials and tools you have.
I'll start.
Go ahead, Tiny, start.
Okay. So, my name is Tiny the Clown. I'm fairly new to puppetry. I've been doing it for a few months, so it's a new thing for me. I like to talk about myself. I'm an inventor. I'm a dancer. I am a painter. I'm very smart. I'm also beautiful. These are things about me. Anyways, back to the point. I have a glue gun that's plugged in right now. Glue sticks on hand. I have some wire and some wire cutters and some fun trash. But I also have tape and string and things to make a marionette, kind of the crappy version, if you will, of the less professional. I'm sort of new at this. I'm more of an amateur. So I like to do things a bit more sloppily to get it done. Because one of my mottos in art, in all types of art, is it doesn't have to be perfect. It looks cooler if you did it at all than if you decide not to do it because you're worried it won't come out perfectly. So I like to just slap things together and get it done because people are usually like, wow, that's so cool. And I like to have positive feedback. So that's what I have to say about me. Yes.
If it's done, then it's good.
Mm-hmm.
And if you say it's done, then it's done. You're the artist. You're the puppeteer. I mean, no one else can take that away from you. So can we go around the digital space, and who wants to go first? Mary.
Okay. There's a delay, so you have to listen to it. I'm a glass and mixed media artist. I love this kind of stuff. It's so much fun for me, and I'm sure I can always learn something for the future. So I have lots of stuff here in my studio, lots of stuff. Cardboard, plastic ready to cut, more plastic, bubble wrap, just fabric from the Delta flight, old underwear, sorry. Just a nice thing. Old socks, oh my gosh, old socks. Fine, how do you call it? I forgot. Fine, no, how do you call it? I forgot the name. From the tree.
Bark.
Anyway.
Sticks.
I have two. Okay. All the tools, wire, and so many more. And a glue gun ready.
Great.
Yay!
That all right. Well, Miri, you've obviously set the bar pretty high here, because it seems you have an entire studio. You probably have more stuff than we do. So
I don't know about that. I have a lot of stuff.
okay, maybe not. But who wants to go next? Just a brief intro of your puppet experience, and then the types of tools and materials you're working with. Who's next? Yes, Liliana Hall.
Hey, I'm Karen. This is Liliana. We used
Wow,
to live
Liliana, you look awesome.
in. We used to live in the valley. She was in school for 5 years, so we've moved to Florida now, and we're excited we can do this on Zoom. We have gathered a bunch of trash, and we have a hot glue gun and metal and so forth. We have everything. We don't have any fabric or underwear or socks, which we'll add to our collection. And we are happy to do it along with the workshop or afterwards. However it transpires is fine with us. We're just, we're excited to be here.
Great. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna hope to just do a step by step and all kind of create a simple marionette together. But yeah, let's keep going. Who wants to go next? I can't see anyone else on video.
I can go.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
You know me. I live in Olympia on Squaxin, Nisqually, Chehalis land, and I don't think I've ever made a marionette, but I am crafty and make lots of things, and I have I have a box of things that includes fur and trim and wire and tutu material and stuff like that. And then I also have like a basket of sticks that my partner brought in that I'll show.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm working with.
Fantastic.
Yay!
All right, who's next?
Monica, will you tell us your puppet experience and any materials that you may or may not have with you?
My puppet experience. It's been a few decades since my last experience with a puppet. I'm watching more out of curiosity. I will be returning to the video to actually try and create something. Because I'm not at home. So all I have is
you can't make a puppet out of that.
I could try, but I don't think she'd like it. But
Oh, me either.
so anyway, so I'm watching right now, and I hope to create something later when I look at the video.
Yay.
Great, thanks,
And
Monica.
I'm really happy to be here.
So happy you're here.
All right, who's next?
This is Emily. I'll go. I've got low bandwidth, so I'm keeping my video off, but I'm following along. I used to do street puppetry many, many years ago, but I've been out of it, so I thought this would be a fun way to sort of bring that back and play with it a
Awesome.
little bit.
Time to get back in. And are you working with materials today, Emily?
Oh yeah, so I have egg cartons because I kind of wanted to figure out maybe how to do a cool caterpillar body. I don't know if that's what I end up doing. And I've got wire and string and fuzzy benders and glitter and glue.
Oh, fuzzy benders are good.
I love glitter.
And glitter is good. Okay, who else? Is that
Xander?
everybody?
Xander?
Oh, hi, Joyce.
Hello.
Hi. We have a bag of
All my
garbage.
good trash that I've been saving for like a year. Very excited.
A year's worth of trash. Oh, look at that.
Well, it's just good trash. I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
say the best
just the
trash.
good trash. And yeah, we got glue guns, we got some wire. Oh, we got this Hello Kitty little cookies.
Wow.
So fast.
Whoa.
This like pill container.
Whoa.
Christmas Snoopy paper. We're really excited.
Snoopy.
Snoopy, Spoopy.
Spoop. All right, yeah.
That's fantastic.
Wow.
Okay.
Wait, do you guys have any puppet experience?
Oh yeah.
Oh, our reigning clown.
We're
resident
Tiny's
clown.
we're Tiny's disciples.
Yeah. Tiny has trained us.
We've learned a little bit, want to learn more.
I
Never
think,
made a
you know,
marionette.
if I can recall, I think you guys have made puppets before.
We have
Yes.
not like marionettes though, so we're
No.
excited to make something like our friend Cameron and those puppets you were showing us. We love them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty fell apart last time. Oh.
Yeah, pretty close. Okay, thanks.
Okay.
Okay, William, do you have puppet experience?
Okay, and I'll even reveal myself.
Oh,
Wow.
hello, William.
Hi, I'm Sophie's father.
I don't know who Sophie is.
Oh, sorry. What's your name?
Tiny.
Trix.
Yeah.
Okay, I've met her before. Yeah.
So tell us about your puppet experience.
Well, I actually have a puppet experience that I don't think you know about.
Yeah.
When I was in maybe second grade, we were asked to do a puppet show for the kindergartners. And I think we had made puppets just like you're doing. And we had made puppets out of paper mache. And when we did a puppet show, and we went down to the kindergarten room and went behind the curtain and started to do a puppet show. And as I was doing my puppet thing, the head fell off. So I said, I'm going to call on my friend, the magic hand, and fix the head.
Very
Plus, and also a little bit later, around a few years later, when I grew up outside New York, there was a very famous puppet theater in Greenwich Village, a guy named Bill Baird, who did the puppets in The Sound of Music.
Yeah.
So I have very vivid memories of going to see the Bill Baird Marionette Theater and seeing this great thing about a kid who went to the moon and David Crockett under the sea. Very formative experience. So
Awesome.
and I went to college with I've forgotten his name. He's a very famous puppeteer now. I told you his name once, Sophie.
Yeah, you
But,
did. I don't know who Sophie is.
Okay, that sounds like quite a bit of experience, at least with puppetry in general. So,
yes, sir.
is that everybody? Did everyone get a chance to share their puppet experience and their materials they're working with? I can't see everybody on the
I think so.
video, but I guess that was probably everybody.
I can show mine.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
Joyce. Yeah, go ahead.
Please tell us.
No, I'm not Joyce.
Oh,
I'm
sorry, it's Donna. Sorry.
That's all right. Sorry, I had craziness going on. My dog is loving what I have here. I have some feathers, some suede French. All this is stuff that I got from Kinky Boots Workshop. Some
Whoa.
crazy flashy material. I have some beads and necklaces, things that I've made before that turned out to be junk, some weird yarn that expands and makes all kinds of interesting patterns. I don't know if you can see that, but just I always keep a bag of junk I have some animal print fabric. Just lots of different kinds. Oh, I got some flowers, plastic flowers. All these things my dog would like to eat.
Yeah, be careful with that. A dog will eat the puppet. Oftentimes pets have a lot of weird interactions with puppets. They don't really know what's going on. They think this is a human, but it's small. I know it's not alive, but it's moving seemingly by itself. Very confusing for animals. Just keep that in mind, people.
Yeah.
All right, thanks, Donna. Is that everybody? Is everyone checked in and ready to maybe get going here?
I'll just chime back in real quick and just say, I'll just share for myself. I haven't had any puppetry experience, but I do like to do felting. And I've got access to some wool from some critters locally, and I would love to make something, learn how to do something with that. So, yeah.
That's great. That there's definitely ways to much like a stuffed animal or something where you can basically just kind of crochet the joints or attach things with fabric or thread as opposed to the wire models that we'll be concentrating on today.
You can also, again, just make a funny little guy who doesn't really do much. He's like a little doll, but he's still a puppet.
Yeah, sometimes, puppets can be any kind of style, I mean, you can, sometimes it resembles more of a doll or a stuffed animal or something, but as long as you can manipulate it and use your imagination and pretend that it's real, then you'll always have friends and you'll never have to worry
You'll never
about.
be lonely.
Yeah, you'll never be alone because you'll be surrounded by a bunch of voodoo dolls or whatever you call them.
Oh, you know what, Tasty? I'm tired of all this talking. Can we get started?
Tiny's tired of talking. So it's time to get started. Are you guys ready to go?
Okay, so I think everybody should start by pulling out your materials, putting them in a little pile or something.
Assess your materials.
Assess your materials. Look at them. Think, one of the best things to do in these situations is just experiment, just try things. So I think what we're going to start with is if you're working with wire, Tasty's going to talk about making the skeleton.
Yeah, so we got two different, we're going to concentrate on two different styles of puppets. Basically, we'll separate in a way into people who are working with wire, and then if you don't have any wire, that's okay. We're going to have an alternative way to piece together this puppet without wire.
And so, again, my specialty right now, I'm working on marionettes. I want to get better at them. But I also like to just make stupid little trash dolls. And they can still be puppets. So I'm going to try and make a puppet that has something that will move. Maybe it's the head. Maybe it's the arms. But I'm going to try to avoid using wire because I know that not everybody has access to wire right now. Everyone has different materials. So I encourage everyone to experiment with what they have.
Okay, so first thing, when you're creating a being from nothing, you want to start with a skeleton. This is much like that show Westworld where they make robots. They start with a skeleton. So if you got wire, we're going to start by using that. Now, what I would suggest we do is start by making what I would call a head bone. A head bone is just wire, a wire piece that has a loop at the bottom and a loop at the top. Maybe a little bit straighter than mine, but sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of angle. A loop at the top and a loop at the bottom. And what that's going to be is why we do that is so we can attach string to the top and then also attach string to the bottom. So that's what we call our head bone. And that's the first thing we're going to make. Then what we're going to do is fill it in and make a head around it. So head bone first. If you don't have wire, again, there are options, pretty much anything that can serve as an anchor point for your string at the top and the string at the bottom. So say you have a pen
How
cap.
long?
What's that? A pencil or a pen, anything that you can anchor a string to the top and anchor a string at the bottom. So that's the first thing we're going to start with. Does anyone have any questions?
How sturdy or
long?
stiff? How stiff does it have to be?
Okay, so just keep in mind that the head will basically hold the rest of the puppet up. We're going to have 3 anchor points from the controller. The head and the arms. So it should be relatively sturdy because it's going to have to hold up the rest of the puppet. We'll attach at the top of the head and at the bottom of the head and then move out from there. So anything that you can find those anchor points with will work for your head bone. Now after that, we're going to continue to construct the skeleton.
Okay, so for this wire headpiece, is it just like the entirety of the head, or is there like gonna be a piece that's like gonna attach to the marionette part?
Right. It will attach to the controller.
Okay,
So,
it's just the head. This is
you
just how
want to have one loop at the top and one loop at the bottom, and you're going to make the head around it in the middle. So one loop is still visible at the top, and one loop is still visible at the bottom, so that you can loop it.
got it.
Have a little.
How long?
Okay,
Uh-huh.
that's a good question. So
Whatever you want.
So the size of your puppet is really the size of your skeleton will define the size of the puppet. Now, one thing you want to keep in mind through this whole process is keep it light. We don't want to be weighing the thing down with unnecessary weight. What marionette makers used to do, and they still do, is they would build things out of wood and then weigh them down as they go to get that perfect weight. But right now, what we want to make sure is that we're not working with trash that's too heavy. First piece, this is what I would do for a head bone. Loop at the top, loop at the bottom. Something you can anchor from the top, something you can anchor at the bottom. Relatively sturdy, because this will be your main anchor point for your puppet. It's going to hold up from the top and then hold the rest of the skeleton on here.
So I don't have any wire with me. I'm showing everyone the sloppy, unprofessional version of this, or just different. You know what? Just different. I made a head already. I haven't given it a face, but all I did was cut 2 holes so that I could stick the string through. So there's an anchor point. Here's an example of an anchor point at the top, an anchor point at the bottom, so I can attach the body when I'm ready, or at least the torso. So this is my head that I just made, and I'll give it a face, and it'll look even more cute.
Very nice.
There's a beautiful moment that happens when you're experimenting with materials, where you hold something up to something, and I often will go, I'll look at it and I'll be like, because it's so cute. It just immediately turns into a person. I'll give you an example. You know what?
Give me an example.
I got this cool blue egg carton. Heard someone else was working with egg cartons today. I like your style.
So while she's doing that, this is ultimately what we're going for with this skeleton operation. Again, if you're working with wire, start with the head bone, torso. And the torso wants to have 4 anchor points. Or sorry, 5 anchor points. 1 for the neck, 1 on each shoulder, and then 1 on each hip. And the way that I've drawn it out here is, I think, the simplest way to maneuver your wire to get the type of anchor points that you'll need. As you can see, when we get into the arms, you're talking 2 arm bones that really kind of look like bones. They also look like the head bone. It's the same type of piece. This is what you're going for. Again, size is up to you. Two for each arm, 2 for each leg, plus the torso.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So the wire that I'm working with is like this kind of thin copper wire.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if it might be better to use sticks for the torso.
Yeah, that's great. If you want to chop your sticks down to size, then there's a way we can anchor them together without the wire looping. We'll just tie it together. Or do you have a glue gun?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Plug the glue guns in if you haven't already, because glue and fabric or felt is going to be our alternative to the wire design. But yes, those sticks would work great for a skeleton.
Okay.
Any other questions while we're forming our skeletons here?
Could we just slow down just a smidgen so we can get our skeletons together?
Yeah, we're gonna take a building break here, and I'm gonna actually start building. So I'll keep holding this up for reference. Again, doesn't have to look like this, but this I've found is one of the simplest designs, where you just need an anchor point at these several points. But yeah, let's do some building, and we'll check back in about 5 minutes.
So we're just making the whole skeleton first and joining it together. I see Tiny's already decorating. Or is it okay if we get distracted and just start decorating?
If you
Do whatever you want.
This is always the motto, but it could lead to total chaos. So
Listen to your heart.
as you are listening to your heart, remember to tell your heart
That you love it.
that you love it, and also hold on, heart.
Aw.
Wait a minute. Let's think about reality here for a second. But if you find yourself, inspired by your trash, obviously get to it.
Go for it.
But what I'm suggesting is that we build our skeletons first, so that, and before attaching them, attaching everything to make the skeleton and putting it all together, that we work individually with each limb that we've created. So yes, right now we're just going to get our skeletons built, and then we'll talk about adding the muscle and the fat
Well, we're gonna get
and the skin.
our skeletons built, but we're not gonna put them together.
We're going to build the individual pieces, but don't put them together. Don't string it together yet.
So
Got it.
Just
Perfect.
these
Okay.
individual pieces.
Okay. Bunch of broken bones kind of lying around. Not
Yes.
connected yet.
Perfect.
Okay.
Is there any way we could prop that up somewhere or pin it?
Yeah. Let's. Can you figure out a way to put this up perma in the back? Yeah, maybe right there.
We're at head level currently.
So Tasty, is yours gonna be the body? Is there gonna be trash around it? Is there gonna be a box?
Yes. So the only real reason that we're building a skeleton first is to make sure that we have anchor points for movement, which we'll call the joints.
Yeah.
Right. So once we make our skeleton pieces, our individual body parts, we're gonna wrap the bone in garbage in order to construct the muscle and the skin and the shapes of these individual limbs.
Okay.
And then we're gonna put them all together.
Okay, so right now we're just twisting the wires around each other and making a skeleton just like that.
Yep.
Okay.
But you don't have to attach them, just these individual pieces. So right now I'm making my torso.
How do you two stand on naming your puppets? Do you feel like because you've been their gods and goddesses, you must name them, or is it okay for them to be nameless?
It's sometimes they don't want to have a name. They whisper it into your ear, and then you say, "Oh, Eureka, that's your name." But I usually like to name them when they're done.
See, I think that initially I didn't really bother naming puppets, and dehumanizing as it may be. But once you end up with a lot of them in the shop, you kind of have to tell them apart, and you have to be able to command them and say, "Camera, get over here." Like it's hard to keep track of them if they're all nameless. But something that helps to immediately personify your figure is thinking about some names.
It's a cute thing to do, but also if you don't think that it's necessary, listen to your puppet, listen to your heart about it.
Not all puppets are as human-like as we might want to think. Some of them probably, don't even speak our language. Maybe they have a name that we can't pronounce. I don't know. This is a great example. Here, bring him over in here. Look at this guy.
Oh, cool.
And obviously Tiny is very much ahead of the game, but she's a professional, so we'll try not to get ahead of ourselves.
I just wanted to demonstrate the act of experimenting because I've been enjoying learning how to make marionettes. I'm new at this, but it's much easier for me to just do something like this. And I just wanted to encourage people to work with what they have and just try it and just make it happen, because one of the things I think, like I was saying earlier, that one of my mottos is to just do it. Just try it out. And if it's not perfect, then you still did it and it looks cooler than if you didn't do it at all.
Yeah, you can definitely assemble trash to create the illusion of a figure, a mouth, eyeballs, a nose. And one thing I've noticed when taking it up to the next level of marionettes is it's really just a little bit extra planning. And then you can, kind of achieve a dexterity. And sometimes it's surprising, how lifelike they really are. So I have my torso here. Looks kind of like the drawing, but as you can see, I got all 5 of my anchor points. Shoulders, a loop at the neck, top of the neck, and the hips, 2 on the hips. So I'm going to keep going. I need several more of these bones for, let's see, you probably need 9 because it's 1 for the head, 2 for each arm, and 2 for each leg. Also, wire cutters and wire benders, very helpful for these puppet endeavors. I used to know a lot of hippies who would do wire wrapping, where you just take rocks and you wrap wire all around it and you try to sell it.
I've got some of those.
It's a great gig if you know how to wire wrap. It's a lot of time spent just wrapping wire, and it's kind of zen, it's fun to do, but you get really good at it after a while. So wire manipulation is an art unto itself.
Okay, so you said we need 2 wires for the arm, for each arm?
2 for, well, that's if you want elbow action, right? Yeah. And so I would suggest just for this to do, 2 for each arm, 2 for each leg. You're going to do 9 relatively the same size, 9 wire bones.
Really? Relatively the same size. And then, so 2, 4, 6, 8. And then what's the 9th?
This is your head bone.
Oh, the 9th is the head. Got it.
Head bone is similar, if not about the same size, usually.
And the same size. Okay.
And they don't have to be In fact, it might be fun to see what happens if you want some really long legs and do one of their bones. Just think about them as joints. You know, it's like you got half arm, half, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. So like, just think about like the bones right now. Like, don't worry about what's gonna be on them.
Yeah. And really, I mean, I'm making mine relatively small. It's nice to for a marionette, it's nice to keep it around like under 4 feet ish. And that's just so that you can actually manipulate it. And then if you get to be on a stage or on a you know, it doesn't make as much sense to have a huge one that you have to stand on a stool to manipulate. But maybe that's your thing. Oh, very nice.
Do you make the hand palms too?
Huh?
The what?
Hand palms too, like in the drawing.
Oh yeah, the head.
No, hand.
Oh, the hands. So we want to
Hand
do hands.
palm.
Yeah, we want to do hands and feet separately. That's what we were going to do next. So, once we finish with our skeletons, we'll move on to that. Basically, I'm almost done here with my skeleton. And if you're getting close, the next step, as Miri said, would be hands and feet.
Oh.
And we're going to start with hands and feet because the rest of it is kind of working with these bones. And what you want to do for a hand, we got to make hand bones as well.
Five.
We do hand bones or just attach the hands?
Wrist.
Yeah,
wrist bones.
Wrist, yeah. Well, it's like a...
Can I ask a question first?
Yeah.
So I have like my head. I don't know how much you can see it, but there's the head part, and then there's shoulders, and then hips, and this is all attached with wires. But then I have a bunch of little sticks like this that can be arms and legs, and I'm wondering, do I attach those with wire or should those be strings so they're more flexible?
We were just trying to view you, and now we can see what you were working with.
So like I have all these these
Cool.
little sticks.
Yeah.
And then I want to start attaching them, but I'm worried that wire will make it so they don't move as easy. So should it be string?
I think that's a great idea. To use string.
So you could use string, but because you're not working with wire loops, it might be harder to tie, you know, together.
You could make loops out of your wire and then use string through the loops.
Could do that. I would also think about if you have fabric and a glue gun, then you can take your 2 sticks and then glue a fabric joint. We should do an example of that probably.
Okay, I can work on that example.
Okay. Yeah, I think that if you're not working with wire, that the best way to achieve the joints is to take little pieces of fabric and then glue your sticks together using that.
I do have wire. Well, sorry.
You can also wrap wire around your sticks if you want, and then tie it together that way. Oh wow! Okay, we got a head over here. We got.
I love it too.
Oh wow, that is cute. Okay, so that is a super.
So
It's adorable! Okay, listen. Are you going to want to make that into a marionette? Because it's going to need bones or a way of attaching it to the top and the bottom. Just think about that.
We are limited on the wire, so
Okay,
I'm
okay.
attach it, but I think Eliza's doing the skelly over here, and I'm gonna do more of a trash it.
Okay, great. Because eventually you could put their skeleton in that.
You know, you could do what I did here and cut a hole in the bottom and then use some fabric or some string and tie a knot at the top.
Yeah, it's good if there's a way to anchor at the top and the bottom. Just keep that in mind.
Okay, so could I just do like a little? Could I make a little like loop?
Yeah.
Okay. I can do that. Sweet. Thank you.
How's everyone else's skeletons going?
It's good, but what were you saying about hand bones? Do we need them?
Wrist, just for the wrist.
Okay, cool. No hands or feet yet. Just.
Okay, so no, we want to make hands and feet. They just need to be able to be attached to the ends of the
loop,
the ends of your legs, and the ends of your your wrists here.
Like with a loop here.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Okay.
So with hands, we're gonna want some type of just an anchor point at your hand. Okay. So oftentimes what I'll do for hands and feet is I'll just construct something like this. Just a simple U shape with a hole at the bottom, with a anchor point at the bottom there. So that way, serves as your wrist anchor points and the feet.
So, like, with your skeleton, the torso in the middle, what is that?
What do you mean?
So, like, how are we connecting the arms and the legs to the torso?
Use some string to tie these loops together. This is the first part of the arm, like right here.
So once we have does everyone have a torso ready?
So you So you made a whole. So you need a whole torso for those. Okay. Looks like that. Okay. Let me take a picture with my phone. Yeah. Hold her up. Hold her up like that. All right. You. Okay. I gotta work on that now. Oh. Awesome. Okay, that's where I'm at. Thank you.
Donna, did you have a question?
I'm sorry. I was just typing in the chat. I have a little emergency, a minor emergency here, and I need to attend to it. I don't mean to be rude, but I'm going to have to go. I'm sorry.
Well, thank you for joining us.
Pardon?
Thank you for joining us, and I hope everything is okay.
It will be. Thank you. I appreciate what you guys are doing. It's a fun workshop, and I will definitely look at the recording.
Yay! Thank you, Donna.
Thanks, Donna.
Bye.
All right, so as we're working on our skeletons here, once you get the arms and the torso and the legs and the head bone, we're gonna make some hand bones and feet bones. And they are just what they appear to be, just real simple loops. You just need that anchor point. That's what you're looking for. Because eventually we're gonna tie all of this together, but not yet. All right, so we'll let you continue on your. Does anyone have more questions on the skeleton? How's skeletons going?
This isn't about the skeleton, but if I wanted to, so where would I put I put a little loop at the top, but where would I put the bottom loop? Like in the jaw or like in
Well,
the
because you got all crazy with a
Oh,
jaw.
can I answer this one? May I?
Go.
Okay, so I would put it in the back of the. This is I don't. I'd be interested to hear what Tasty has to say, but I would put it in the back of the head so the jaw can still but it can be maybe at the back of the head.
Thanks.
Okay, so one reason that I have suggested that we make a head bone is so you have your anchor at the top for your string, and then you have your anchor at the bottom to attach to the neck. Xander, since you made a jaw and everything all fancy and cool, you're gonna have to factor that in. I think Tiny is correct, and just make a loop at the back of it so your jaw can still bob up and down.
Thanks.
Okay, so we have exactly 1 hour remaining to turn these skeletons into puppets. I think that's going to be plenty of time. It's not that hard. We'll just do another couple minutes here and let everybody form their skeletons. And just shout out. Go ahead.
And those hand and feet used should be big enough to decorate or add muscle to, right?
Yes, that's right. Don't make them super tiny. Give it a little bit of width here, so that you can kind of build off of that to make a hand or a foot.
So
Okay.
I was working on a little body with no wire and fabric to attach the joints with. So these almost look like little arms, but I'm going to add them. I'm going to add some real arms to them, and this fabric will serve as my joint. So instead of having loops, what I did was I used some wire to attach this piece of foam around this piece of stuffing, and then I put a string, or I put this fabric through a little hole that I made, and I'm gonna work on some little arms. And there's no loops here, but I can kind of work with something, because I can either cut a hole in the foam and attach some legs through here, or I can maybe stick some wire or something through the stuffing. I'm just working with what I got.
And sometimes creating the illusion of movement with these, once you have it strung up, the joints that we're making with our bones, with our wires and strings, you can achieve that type of movement if you're making an all fabric puppet. I mean, we've seen that probably the simplest marionette designs have to do with just making them out of fabric so that they can move all willy-nilly, because their arms and legs are fabric. So that totally works, as long as you have hands and feet to like kind of weigh them down in a way. But we'll get to that. The reason I want everyone to make skeletons is because you end up with some surprising movement that happens when you start attaching all of your pieces. And Tiny is just a pro, so we see coming together very quickly.
So I had this little piece of egg carton, and I thought, oh, maybe it would make a good nose. I think it does, so I'm gonna glue that down.
Well, the good news about those 14th century masters is all those secrets can be rediscovered by somebody again, right?
Sure, yeah. And,
like me.
Right. Yeah.
Like Tiny. Yeah. Tiny's doing it right now.
I'm sure at a certain point, some of those masters were tooling around with garbage and decided to, hey, that kind of looks like a face, LOL. And then, but yeah, there are puppets that, there's even books and stuff that are out that you can get that have some of these secrets, and just the act of constructing some of these things, it's like more complicated than a house. There's also some very interesting works done by people, probably back then, doing mechanical theaters. If you look up mechanical theaters online, there's a lot of really epic mechanical theaters from back in the day, and they were just, imagine a whole miniature stage full of tiny little figures that are all doing some type of action, a whole city's worth of people. It's really interesting stuff. There was a king at some point who had this thing made. It's this really complex mechanical theater, and a series of strings and pulleys and things to like make every little tiny puppet in the town be doing their action on a loop. And he made it in order, I don't remember who this king is, but he made it because he felt that's how society should be run, like a well-oiled, perfect machine with every tiny puppet in its place. And it's an interesting piece. But yeah, Google mechanical theaters. Those are fun. Okay, so how's everyone's skeletons going? If you got a skeleton, hold it up here. Okay, all right. Oh, yeah. Oh, that looks cool.
Whoa!
Is everyone more or less ready to move on to muscles?
Can I ask a question about the feet?
Yes.
I'm still in the process of making the little like arm bones and things.
Oh, nice. That's great.
Thanks. But I'm curious. So the wire that I have is not sturdy enough to make like a strong frame. So what should I use? How should I make a foot and hand bones? Do you have suggestions?
Oh yeah, it's not strong enough to make an actual frame, right? I'll tell you what. You could probably get away with some smaller sticks, and then do a similar thing with wrap a little bit of wire around the end of the stick, and you just need, it's almost like a smaller head bone, but just with one loop.
A stick, or you could like clump together some of the other types of materials that you have and just put them, like make one tiny loop and then glue them onto the end of the loop.
Okay.
That's what
So
I'm
it just needs to be something, certain amount of weight, or
No, not really. It just wants to be something that you can string to the end of your, to the bottom of your leg bone.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, so, oh, that looks great. Look at that. Hey,
wow,
getting somewhere. All right, we got a couple of old pros here, or maybe new pros that are just taking off.
That looks great. You know what? My suggestion would be to, think about poking some holes on here to make the arms, and then the same with the bottom. But then also, that's a great box, but you could glue some tiny piece of fabric or other piece of trash onto it to give it more style. I don't know, like, and just cut a shape, do anything, and just stick something else on there so that it's not just that box, you know?
Oh yeah. It's getting fitted up.
Cool.
It's gonna go.
So that looks great.
Okay, so I'm gonna move to my head bone, and I'm gonna start constructing my head. So take my head bone, and I'm just gonna start wrapping things. I got some newspaper here. I got my head bone. I'm just gonna wrap paper around my head bone like that, and just start morphing it, squishing it and morphing it, so that eventually I've got kind of a round shape, and my bone is in the middle of it, as you can see, kind of. And that way I can attach at the top and the bottom there. So if you take your head bone, just find whatever trash you want to use for your head and attach this inside of it so that it comes out like that, top and bottom.
So both of the loops should be exposed.
Both of the loops should be exposed, or at least to the point where you can get at them to tie it. Yeah, exposed makes it simpler for sure.
Okay.
I lost the bone already. one thing I've found is that when working with newspaper or anything malleable like that, masking tape works really well to sort of squish your paper into submission to kind of make the shape that you want. And if your head bone is going to be kind of hidden in there, just make sure that your head mass, your head muscle, is sufficiently attached to your head bone so it doesn't go anywhere. Now I've got the top of my bone is exposed there. And then I got one on the bottom.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
How do I attach the paper to the bone?
So if you have tape or hot glue or just any way that you can attach it, any type of adhesive will work. That's why I like to wrap paper or fabric around my bone just to guarantee that it's not going anywhere.
So I made this body. And I got lazy and I used wire to make the hips to attach the legs to. But with these, it's just fabric string.
All right, so you can kind of see what I did here. Just attached a mass of paper or whatever to my head bone. And this is my head now. And as you can kind of tell, my bone is still not really staying put. So I'm just going to keep taping and gluing until it does, because it's nice to have that nice and sturdy in there so that your head is really attached to the bone. Nice. Yeah. So that's going to be my head. I got my top and my bottom. So I'm going to move on to the torso. And my torso is obviously a lot bigger, and it's not really that sturdy on its own. I mean, this wire is not a big, small gauge or anything, but so really this skeleton is, like I said, for the sake of having your joints in the right place. So I'm going to start filling in my torso with a bunch of fat and muscle.
I added a belly onto mine because I usually like my puppets to have a little belly. And I think I'm going to give it boobs.
Bellies and boobs. Now, maybe I found a piece of garbage that I just really like, and I think it looks like a torso to me. I take my torso skeleton. Here's a cool box, and I would just attach it, tape it on there, glue it on there, because that could be a torso. And you'll notice if you get into trash puppetry or building any kind of art out of trash, that you will save quite a bit of money on materials, but you will still end up getting a lot of adhesives. So hot glue and masking tape, I order in bulk because it starts to add up. And sometimes wire too, if you're really into that. But the good thing is you can use all recyclable stuff for your materials, more or less.
Environmentally friendly. Save
Sure.
the planet, people.
Puppetry saves the planet.org. So I'm just wrapping this cardboard around my torso because I like this box. But as you can see, my shoulder piece is exposed, my shoulder pieces, so I can easily tie them on. And again, this could just be the muscle. You could work the skin out later. Sometimes I like to piece the whole, once I tie the whole thing together, I like to make it close so that you can't see any of those joints. They're kind of hidden by the clothing. So we're just gonna keep adding muscle to our bones. I'm gonna make like big eyeballs.
Look, he made a really made a very small head.
So what I'm working with so far, I got my body and I got my head. Doesn't look like much now, but we're still in the stages. Wow, Liliana's got something crazy going on. I got small screens. I don't know how to
I know how to do this.
change the view.
Whoa.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah.
Got like a snake action.
Like a cobra.
It's like a cobra.
Cool.
Okay. Well, this is already what I was afraid of, is that all of our projects would be rushed garbage and all of our students' projects would be way better. But, I mean...
That means you're great teachers.
The students become the teacher. Yes, that's a sign of success, right?
Mm.
Okay, so I got my torso is looking okay. I got my head, looks okay. I'm going to start beefing up my arms, because I want to have nice beefy arms. So we're going to go limb by limb. Each arm hopefully has 2 bones, and they're going to connect like that. So again, I'm going to find pieces that I can wrap around my bone to give it some girth, to make it into an arm. Newspaper and masking tape work really well.
How are the bones connecting? Are you just hooking them onto each other?
Well, that's an option. Sometimes I like to use some string to do that because it gives it more dexterity. But you can just open up your wire loop and hook them up that way. It can be a little less of a stressful situation because, you know, sewing and working with tiny holes and things, like, it can get frustrating. So yeah, when we get to that point, that's a good suggestion. I think that some of us can probably just loop our loops together. But again, I'm going to do the same thing I did for my head, for my arms. and just beef up the limbs a little bit. So that's kind of like part of an arm.
What if I was trying to attach a tail? How would a tail work?
Well, a tail, I would say a tail could come off of your torso, your back end of your torso. I wouldn't say you need any kind of hook or any wire for that. It can probably, especially if it's fabric or if you have something to it, glue it to the back. That's what I would do. And then you could end up stringing that up so you can control it.
But it wouldn't necessarily need its own bone, its tailbone?
No, I don't think so, unless you want it to have that stiffness.
Okay.
Yeah. Now sometimes I'll just take like a piece of foam, take my bone, and just kind of shove it through there. And that can act as my muscle. Jeez Louise.
What did your puppet do?
I don't think it's for us this time.
Oh, they're supposed to pick me up later.
That's nice of them.
They're early.
Back to the psych ward.
Okay, so my body I use very thin wire because I ran out of thick wire, and Xander was thinking that I should like use this cardboard back to like reinforce it so that like the limbs wouldn't all be like drooping. Like, do you think that's a good idea, or do you have any ideas to make it more sturdy with this super thin wire?
Is that your body and you're holding onto your head?
Yeah, I'm holding on to the head. This
Cool.
is yeah, you can't even see the body. It's super thin wire.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea to reinforce it with the cardboard.
Yeah, that's kind of what I did here. Is I had my skeleton, and then I just kind of taped a bunch of cardboard on it. So yeah, definitely reinforce it. That'll help. That's why it's okay if you got thin wire, because really we just need those anchor points. But as you start taping stuff onto your wire, hopefully it will help to solidify it.
Cool. So you think I like would it suffice to like wrap cardboard like around it like you did, or you think I should just like tape it
I think whatever, all you want is for those loops to still be exposed.
Yeah.
So whatever feels right.
However you can attach it and keep those loops exposed and reinforce it and keep and make whatever shape that you want.
I was trying to encourage one of my friends to join me, and she said puppets are creepier than clowns, which I disagreed with, but I didn't have a good argument. You want to make on that?
True.
Yeah.
Clowns are probably creepier. What about, you should ask them how they feel about clowns that are puppeteers.
Oh yeah, that's a whole nother level, huh?
This sounds like something a little too scary for them, I guess.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's not for everybody. I mean, puppetry is terrifying. I know plenty of people who, I've made puppets before and then showed them to people and had them basically have a mental breakdown. Like, I don't understand, like kind of like a dog or a cat. Like, I don't understand what's happening. This shouldn't be moving. Is this demonology? Like, is this some type of, are you possessed? Like, I mean, some people, it really freaks them out. Anthropomorphized garbage, it can be terrifying.
Not for the faint of heart.
Not for the faint.
Yeah. I've been told I scare people, so.
Fun fact, when I was a small child, a small tasty child, I was at a Canadian shopping mall with my parents, and there was a puppet show there, and it was very much like just cheap Muppet style. I remember there was a green monster puppet, and it scared the crap out of me, and I cried and cried and cried, and that was my first puppet experience.
Yeah, I had a puppet experience where I cried a lot. My parents took me to an outdoor show at a park where there was these big marionettes, and one was a dinosaur, and I cried so hard. It was so scary to me. I don't know why. I just was having a panic attack in the parking lot. I wanted to leave so badly. And I remember the line that the puppet was saying was, "Don't look at me, stop looking at me." And it was so upset. It was the whole thing. It was really upset, and I didn't want to look at it. Closing my eyes, I was so scared. And there was a very mean clown in New Orleans when I was very little, who was very mean to me, and that tainted my my view on clowns for a while. I don't know. I was really scared of these clowns in New Orleans, and there was this one that made cool balloons, and I wanted a balloon very badly, but I was very scared of it. I was crying while it was making me my balloon. I go away, and I'm happy with my balloon. My dad's holding me, and I have my balloon in my hand, and this other scary clown. I think he was drunk. This drunk clown. He's like, "Hey, you want a balloon?" And
remember what he said to you?
I had a balloon already, and he could see it. And my dad says, "Oh no, thanks." And then he looks at me. I must be like 3, and he goes, "Well, your daughter has ugly legs."
What is that?
I cried even harder.
That's so funny. But obviously it didn't scare either of you away. So somehow you
No,
overcame
I
it.
think it kind of helped me feel less scared of clowns for a while. I don't know. I was more scared before all that happened, I think. And then I faced my fears, and I got up close to the clown. But I'll never forget that insult. I remember him doing that to me, and I'm still. I never took it hard, but.
Maybe he said you had ugly legs because he thought you were a puppet and didn't realize you were a real child.
Yeah, probably.
That's the thing. Clowns can definitely get confused.
They get confused. Yeah, they get confused. They live in
They're confused in general most of the time. And the other thing to keep in mind is being scared is fun. And sometimes we obsess over being scared as human beings. It's just part of some of our emotional reactions. So if you could scare somebody with a performance, even if you're just a drunk clown who's kind of a jerk, I mean, there's a tip in there somewhere.
All right, you still broke through.
Still broke through after all that trauma. So this is what I'm working with. this is what the master has so far come up with. It's kind of turtle-esque. Yeah, it's kind of turtle-esque. It's like a Ninja Turtle.
Cool.
Okay, so as you can see, since we're getting there on time here, I'm just going to I'm going to show you what I did here. My little nubby half legs are attached to either hip. And what I did, since my leg loops were loose enough, I just unlooped them a little bit so I could just loop it right in there. Just whoop, just like that, like a chain link. Now, sometimes what I'll do for extra joint dexterity is actually tie these loops together with string or maybe even a thin strip of fabric, and that will give it a little more tension, kind of like joint muscles, right? With this, I like to have them nice and dangly because then when you string it up, you'll get a lot of potential movement. And again, the head at the top there. So as you can see, I got a lot of wiggling. And that's good. That's what you want.
So if you're using string or fabric to attach the joints, is there a special knot you're using?
No, I'll
Old...
just double knot it, triple knot it. Sometimes with a fabric joint or a fabric knot of any kind, you can just add a little dab of hot glue, and that will just keep it together a little stronger. Okay, so we're gonna move quickly into continuing to where I'm at. I'm just attaching my joints now. Now that I've beefed up my arms and legs, let me just finish my. Oh, and I'll do a hand here. I'm gonna get her. Okay, so Matilda's hands, I took a lot of time on. As you can see, all 5 fingers. It still doesn't look that great. But another way to make a hand is simply cut one out of cardboard, like that. And then, as you can see, what I did is glued another piece on the back. Oh, geez. We got motorists in our town here. And that's how I attached it to my arm bone. You see? That's the easiest way to make a hand, I think. It's just a cardboard hand that you can attach. And then, again, the double cardboard gluing effect is a good way to keep it on there. And cardboard is nice and light. And we like to keep it light.
Can I share a puppet memory from when I was?
Oh, yes, please.
I went to this puppet show when I was little, and I remember thinking that they looked very similar, if not were the puppets from Mr. Rogers from the like Magical Neighborhood or whatever. Like I feel like Lady Elaine was there, but it could have just been me having little context for knowing what a puppet was. And after the puppet show, we were able to go and look at the puppets. And I have a very clear memory of the person in front of me picking up the puppet and that the puppet just started talking to them like it was actually alive. Like that's what I thought happened. Wow. And I had that memory throughout my whole childhood, but I don't know what actually happened.
So they had possessed puppets, or were they just really good at like hiding? Like, hey,
I have no idea. Probably it was the grown up in front of me talking and pretending to be the puppet, but in my mind, the puppet just was talking.
That's a cool experience. Real
and often have spirits within them that will just make them talk. I mean, that's when you're kind of dabbling a little more into, some dark magic. But that reminds me, I was on a puppet tour that involved a lot of different puppets. It was like a big old show. And one time we played all sorts of different venues, house show. We did a house show in Detroit, and there were a couple of children there. They loved the show. The kids always loved the show. And then at the end of it, the kids would stick around, and a lot of them wanted to know how everything worked. You know, they kind of know that it's not real, but they're also very curious. This one kid had to have been 5, maybe even 4, but when they came around the back of our tiny stage, our facade, and saw that the puppet that they were just watching interact with humans and do this big puppet was just a mass of fabric and paper mache on the ground and just kind of looked like the corpse of itself. And this kid was very upset. Like, why is this now dead? Why are you keeping all these beings back here lifeless? You know, and they were very confused and very upset. But it really warmed my heart that instead of this child just being afraid of puppets, which apparently a lot of us are or were, the child was sad because the puppets were actually just lifeless garbage. So I thought that was kind of nice in a way, but we had to pick up the puppet and say, hey, look, hey, it still does stuff, you know, dance it around, and the kid stopped crying eventually. Okay, we got about 20 minutes left. How is everybody feeling? Does everyone have any questions? Because I'm slowly piecing my limbs together here. And before we vamoose, I want to show y'all how we're going to make some simple controllers for the marionettes, and then how to string them up. Here's a chicken hand that I found. Sometimes you have little leftover limbs. That's from a rubber chicken, many of which I've taken apart. Harvesting toys for puppet limbs is another trick. You see a good eyeball on a stuffed animal, rip it right out. Give a different puppet that eyeball. So I just made a quick hand. As you can see, just cardboard. And then I've taken my horseshoe with my loop and just kind of taped my cardboard onto it. Then it's got my exposed loop there for attaching. So I attached my other hand. One of my limbs, one of my bones doesn't have a lot of meat on it, as you can see. But that's all right. So as someone mentioned, and Tiny mentioned, egg crates. Those are good for a lot of stuff. I like to make shoes out of them sometimes.
Oh!
So I do a little, I'll just attach my foot bone. Oh, look at that. That looks great, Nomi.
Nomi's really whipping along.
Ah, nice.
Cute.
My guy's looking a little Frankenstein, as many of them do. The other thing is, though, once you've got all these pieces kind of hooked together and whatnot, this is the muscle portion. And I would say that you can do a pass at the skin, which I would use fabric for. And maybe I don't want this neck area exposed as much as it is. So I'd drape a piece of fabric over it, you know? I'm gonna start gluing that on like that. Then it's kind of like an outfit, or maybe just the skin or whatever. And you can do that. You can glue that all over your puppet body and make it a little less exposed. You know, if you want a skin or an outfit or something, then you can just create one. Oh yeah, okay.
And I got this leg. Got one leg.
That's a great leg. Look at this pudding. What is that?
A jelly cup.
Jelly cup. Yeah, and you know, a foot, it's all just shapes. They don't have to be that accurate, but it is nice to start dressing them up with fabric because it's nice and light. And like I said, you can kind of use it to attach things in a certain way or cover things up.
She's got it.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Beautiful.
Head in the dress.
Oh.
Oh, that looks great.
So much personality.
Whew. So as you can see, I got quite a bit of dexterity here, and since we're gonna be low on time here, let's course on a controller, because marionettes want to be strung up, and they want to be strung up to a controller. I would say the simplest marionette controller you're gonna make is with some sticks. I know that Nomi said they've got some sticks. Sometimes I like to use very small, thin pieces of wood, just because if they're flat-ish, it can be easier to attach them in the center, and that's what you're gonna want to do. Simplest way to do that without screws or a nail or anything is fabric. Cut yourself a nice strip of fabric, nice and long, and then wrap the fabric around the center of this cross, of this non-religious cross. And try to get it as sturdy as you can. And you can use tape, you can use string, but I've noticed that fabric, thin, stretchy fabric, will work really well for this because it'll keep it nice and in place. You can kind of just keep wrapping it until it's nice and sturdy. So I just did Matilda's controller last night. And as you can see, it's just a couple of sticks. And they are wired together, taped together, and fabric together. But it's just a cross. And what we're going to do with this style of marionette is we're going to run one string from your hand. Well, no. Firstly, we're going to run a string from the top of your head. And that will be your anchor point at the top of your head where there should still be a loop, right? So we run the string from the top of the head to the center of the cross. Now, sometimes it's nice to have some wire on the cross so you can actually attach it there. Oh, look at that guy. Wow, look at that dancing. Oh my God.
Wow.
That's getting strung up. He's so cute. Little like Jello cups, Jello cup feet. So yeah, so your main string is gonna hold your whole puppet up, and that string will attach to the center of your cross. And then, if we're looking at the cross, either side needs another wire loop, similar to what Nomi did with their sticks and wire. You know, you want to create an anchor point up here on your sticks. Now you can just tie your strings to your sticks. That will totally work as well. Sometimes it's nicer to just get it a little more accurate by adding some wire there and then stringing it to the wire. But basically you're going to be holding a cross-shaped controller with 3 strings. Now, one thing that you're going to want to get, if you don't have already, is some string. Now, this one has got premium fishing line on it, and that's why it's a little more difficult to see the strings. And when you get in a real puppet theater situation, ideally those strings just disappear and it's moving on its own. And most of the puppets that I make really just dance. Some of them talk, but most of them just dance. And that's okay, because sometimes that's all they ever want to do. Is dancing around. And if I move back, you can kind of see what I'm, well, can't really see it. What I'm doing with my controller is just kind of holding it from here and moving it about. And then you get that movement. So again, cross-shaped controller, anchor points in the center and on either side for your 2 arms and your head. String the head up first, because that's your main weight of your puppet. And then string your arms. Now, I know this is kind of last minute with the controller here, but there are many different versions of building controllers as well. And some people get really intense with it, and you can attach a string to the front of your controller, for instance, and then attach it down here at the jaw. Like Xander, I think that you made one with a jaw. You can run a string all the way up and have another one so they can talk, like Cameron here. Now Cameron can speak because of this jaw action, but also attached to the controller. That's you know, a little advanced. That's the advanced trash puppetry class. But as you can see, it's doable. It's just you know, it takes a little more time. And honestly, this entire process, I mean, we'll just do this for hours and try to, hey, that looks great, Mary. Look at that. Hold that up. There you go.
Wow.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, and it looks like you got great anchor points there. Oh, yeah, those are great joints.
Wow.
That's fantastic. See, now, and if we had another hour, we would just sit here decorating. And really, with the skin and with the, well, either skin or outfit, whatever you want to call it, that's what really gives it personality. It's just nice to start off with a little bit of a base. The skeleton is kind of a base so that you end up with the potential of stringing it up.
Can we see everybody's puppets? I'd love to see. Wow. Oh, yeah. Amazing.
Oh, yeah.
So cool. Wow. Whoa. 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 And I love that snake.
Oh yeah.
So cool. Oh man, you know what I would do with that snake is tie it up with some string and just hang it up somewhere so that it's like floating in the air and looks so cool. Love that.
Wow, yeah, we got a lot of personality happening here.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So great. Oh, so much personality, Xander.
I think that y'all beat mine out. I was rushing so much to do this, and now it seems like I don't know, I'm hanging my head here a little bit.
Cute.
I need some work. Need some work. But yeah, that's what the decor and all the skin. Oh, that's what the next steps are all about. So hopefully y'all can continue and make yourself a controller. And this got recorded, right? So if you want, you can go back. And is that going to be accessible?
Yeah, so we're going to send the link out to everybody. I think we're going to put it on YouTube as a private link, so everybody can.
Oh, awesome! Yeah. So if you missed anything, especially with the controller and the some other directions, you can go back and look at that. It is the cutest little belly action. Now you can see too that Tiny used these Jello cups for the feet there.
It's got a nice weight.
And
it's good to have some weight on the feet.
That's going to give it a really nice belly jiggling dance weight. And what we like to do is start light and then add things to weight it down later. Tiny just gets lucky where, this is already perfect, obviously. But yeah, we like to slowly add weight after you've strung it up to see how the movement goes. And the same thing with the joints and stuff too. You can add or subtract fabric from your joints.
The pennies. Show the
Oh
coins.
yeah, see, got some pennies.
They're actually
or whatever they are.
coins.
Just to weigh it down so that you get kind of a good movement. So there's all sorts of fun experimentation you can do, especially once you've got a sense of the bones, because I think that that's just an easy way so you kind of know where you're headed and you're not just mashing a bunch of stuff together and hanging it up. There's just a little bit more in depth than that. So.
And with the controller, do you not attach strings to the feet?
Well, you can. That gets a little bit complex. So if I got my controller and I'm putting arms on either side of here, I would actually add another crossbar for feet. I know that seems a little intense, like why do you need that? But the space that it provides between each foot, and now like you're in the back of where your hands are. You understand? So like then the feet, you go this way and that way, you kind of get like a feet and hands dancing at the same time. But that's what I do, feet. And you can attach your feet. The fun thing is once you have your controller and then you start stringing up, you're going to end up restringing and stuff because you just want those limbs to dangle right in the perfect place so that you can get good movement. And every puppet will have different capabilities depending on their limbs and how a lot of it just works with the personality,
Do you ever attach the feet and the hands with like a string between them?
Yeah, I've seen that done too, where you just go directly through where they're basically on the same string. And that works too. Then you just get a little less dexterity. But like I said, it's hard to make these things do much more than flop around and dance sometimes. So yeah, that's a nice simple way to get the hands and the feet both attached.
Beautiful.
I have
Everybody
a
made
question about the head.
Yeah.
The head should be attached to the end of the cross.
Okay, so the head wants to
middle?
go. The head wants to attach right to the middle. To the middle of your controller. If you put it on the end, you're gonna it's gonna be weighted too much down. So let's go right in the center with your head, and that will be your main anchor point for your whole puppet.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that's a good question. All right, anyone have any pressing questions before we take off here? Okay. Well, y'all did a fantastic job. I mean, it looks like you know, I know that no one was able to finish. Really, I mean, I wasn't able to finish, but this is an ongoing process. I think Tiny got pretty close to just a perfect 2 hours. Boom, done. But that's the important part is having fun with it, and y'all can continue to decorate and stuff. And I would love to see pictures or videos or whatever you got of your puppets. Can you send them to your Insta or something? Or
yeah, you can. We have a puppet Instagram that hasn't been very active these days, but you can find us on Instagram. We're Doll-la-la.
Oh yeah,
Doll-la-la, and I think that it's spelled doll like Indian doll, DAAL, and then Allah.
Yeah, it is Doll-la-la.
Yeah, Doll-la-la.
The marker is.
Here.
We can put it in the, yeah, we can put it in the chat.
Ah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
No,
it's gonna be backwards. Never mind. Yeah, just I want to see any pictures that you got. If you're on the Insta, you can send them to Doll-la-la.
Oh, great.
That's our joint account.
Let's try and add more to it.
Yeah, we'll try to check that out if you all send some stuff. But thanks everybody for participating.
That was beautiful. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. You guys did amazing.
Well,
Really
thank you.
Thank you. I loved it. Loved it.
Bye, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
please share any pictures too. You can send them or post them to the Southern Oregon Guild account too. We're on Facebook at Southern Oregon Guild and Instagram as well.
Great.
And we'll send out a replay. I'll try and send that out early next week in the YouTube link for everybody who wants to rewatch it.
Amazing.
Great. Thanks, Caitlin, and
so much.
thanks to the Southern Oregon Guild, and thanks everybody
We
for
love you
attending.
all.
Thanks, everybody.